You can't stop the beat over at Rose Above Theater, where the cast and creatives are preparing for their production of Hairspray. Joining me today are three cast members from the show, Ian Campbell, Krypton Adams, and M. Rose Miller. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi, how's it going?
Hello.
Thank you for having us.
It's going well. It's going well. Thank you so much for being here. Em, I'm going to start out with you. You just wrapped up your production of The Addams Family over the summer, and now you're going into Hairspray. What drew you to wanting to put on Hairspray?
Oh, well, I had a pool of several shows after Adam's Family that I was considering, and I thought which ones are going to excite people to want to be a part of, which ones I think tell a story that resonates with most people. I know that's a boring director answer, but I noticed that not a lot of companies have done Hairspray in the last several years, and that made me want to go closer to it.
Which is, I mean, it's such a classic musical. Like, this is one of the ones that, I mean, I grew up on. I'm assuming everybody here probably grew up on in some form. But, like, this is one of those musicals that you can't help but just get really excited about when you see that it's coming.
I think so. And I think some people, if you're familiar with the topics, there are very, very heavy racial motifs. It's very much a show about self versus other. And I think that makes people very uncomfortable, especially just everything in the zeitgeist that's been happening in the last ever, but like the last 5 years specifically. I think people, specifically directors and companies, really want to maintain their distance from it. And I'm annoying, and that made me actually want to get closer to it.
That doesn't make you annoying. That makes you, you want to make sure that these stories are being told, because it is super important that this happens.
Yeah.
So Krypton, what drew you to wanting to be a part of this show? Because obviously everything Em just said, there's a lot of great things going on here. This is a classic musical, but something made you want to audition.
The one thing that really made me want to audition is the fact that every time I watch Hairspray, no matter which one it is, like one of the movies, the live version, any like bootleg I find, every time I am moved by it in a different way just from watching it. And I was like, I kind of want to be moved by it physically by doing it. And I also auditioned because I just really love the music in this show. And I'm a big music person. And that's what usually draws me to a specific show. But yeah, mainly just the story and the music and the people. I just love everybody in the show. So yeah.
I mean, it is the music is so iconic. The story is iconic. And, when you have people like Ian, like who's playing Edna, which I'm super excited about. As soon as I saw that, I was like, that is the right casting. I mean, who cannot get excited about that? Ian, what drew you to this? Like, obviously it was a similar to Krypton, or do you have a different reason of why you tried out for Hairspray?
So we'll start back in the year of 2013. I was in 7th grade. I was just getting into musical theater. And in my choir class, my teacher put on Hairspray. And I had never seen Hairspray. I didn't know what it was or anything. But everyone kept telling me, John Travolta's in this movie. And I was like, great, I know Grease. So this is, all right, I know this guy. I went through the whole movie, and the whole time I was like, where's John Travolta? And so then the news was broke to me after that John Travolta played Edna. And I was like, sounds fun. And so from that point on, I've tried to get like so when I was in 8th grade, I tried to get the director to do Hairspray Junior. All throughout high school, I tried getting my director to do Hairspray, because Edna, I don't know what it was, just I was drawn to that role. Obviously the whole, like we've all said, the musical itself is just, it's such a good musical that resonates with so many people on so many different levels. But I had one goal in mind, and it was I have to play Edna Turnblad. And I'm proud to say that I'm here.
I mean, that's a great goal to have in mind, because Edna is just such a classic role and like just totally fun. And I think that, like I said, this is the right casting for it. If anybody can pull this off, it's going to be you. So I'm excited to see that.
Well, thank you. And sorry, I totally forgot this part. Another thing that's like super locked me into this role. So many great comedians have played this role on Broadway and, and tours and stuff. And so that was comedy is one of my big things. And so that was like, I want to be like John Panette and George Wendt, of course, Harvey Fierstein. Like, I mean, these people, I want to be there. You know.
As I say, you definitely, every role I've seen you in has been comedy. We've had you as Uncle Fester. You played Patrick in the SpongeBob musical. There's like so many, like comedy is kind of your bread and butter here. So this is perfect.
Yes. Thank you.
So there might be some people who are unfamiliar with the story of Hairspray, which I'm shocked if there are, but I mean, in our world, but there might be. So, and I'm hoping you can kind of just tell us what is going on in Hairspray. Maybe not giving away too much, but obviously we want people to come see the show, but just for those who maybe aren't familiar with it.
Yeah, so we're in 1962, Baltimore, Maryland, civil rights movement, fresh, all of this still, whether it is formal or kind of unspoken, segregation is the norm. And we actually, the eyes that we see through in this show, it's actually a young white teenager. But I think the device that's used to make the racism aspect come to life is that she is overweight. And so she, in her own right, has been segregated against, for lack of a better term. She is othered. And I think that's what allows us to kind of, I think, ease into the whole topic of segregation. And it's also why this character, Tracy, is different, why she's special, why we listen to her. But yeah, very quickly throughout the show, she dreams of being a dancer. She wants to be on this popular local TV show, and she's told no. And, at first we're thinking, oh, that's terrible. She's being turned down because of her weight. But we quickly realize there's this whole other group of also extremely talented young dancers who are Black, who are they don't even get the luxury of being told no. It's just assumed that it's a no. It's, so without giving away too much, again, it's surprising to me if anyone doesn't know this, but toward the end, we get very, very close to it, this dream of integration. And I think part of what's been difficult about trying to teach this story is like how we speak to each other now versus how they would have spoken to each other 60 years ago. And on our very first day at our first read through, we were reading the script and there were certain words, like for example, Negro was a word that was used, and none of the actors who had that in their script, none of them said it. And I said, guys, I know this is something that would never come out of our mouth today. 60 years ago, that was the nice word. That was the default that you would say to be nice. And so just, it's a total paradigm shift. I'm straying a little bit from your question, but basically
okay.
it is a story about varieties of segregation and not being seen because someone has a prejudice against you. Someone has made a decision about you before they have gotten to know you.
Krypton and Ian, I think as actors, that has to be hard sometimes when you get a script that uses words that we're not comfortable using anymore. What was that like for the two of you as you're kind of getting into this? Krypton, I'll start with you.
Okay, yeah, it was definitely like a jump scare. Obviously being a Black person, being called a Negro, like in today's day and age is kind of like, whoa, I'd rather you just call me something else at that point. But it was very like jarring. But again, like Em was saying, that's the time we were in. Like that's the time that has happened. This has happened before. It's not like this is fictional. This is real and it has happened, and we are telling a story. And in order to tell that story, we have to be as authentic as we can. So we have to put aside the jar, and we have to put aside however you feel about these words. This is what happened, and this is how it has to happen in order to portray this show, if that makes any sense.
Which I can imagine can be very difficult to do, just like setting that aside, like you have to pull yourself out of who we are now and really kind of set ourselves back into the story of 1960s.
Yeah.
Ian, how about for you? What was that like for you?
Well, so Edna in the story, thankfully I don't have to say it. Edna is kind of in her own little spot with everything of like, she doesn't agree. My portrayal, at least, she doesn't agree with the treatment of colored people and stuff. But she's not really the type of person to put herself forward and do anything about it. And so she's just kind of a recluse. I will say I have done shows though in the past. I was in a production of To Kill a Mockingbird, And that, I mean,
That's tough.
it's uncomfortable. It is like our first read through, it was like the director told us, like, I think this is word for word what someone else has already said, but it's imperative to the storytelling to get the important message across. They have to see the bad to understand what's good. And it's uncomfortable as an actor, and I do think it takes a lot of strength to be able to like portray that, but also like understand that that's not me saying that.
Sure.
So,
Absolutely. So I am going to ask you all about your characters now, and I'm actually going to start with you last because you're playing double duty. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. So Krypton, you are playing Seaweed, or you're the understudy for Seaweed.
Yes.
Who is Seaweed in this show, and or like what is Seaweed to you?
Seaweed
So-
Jive Stubbs.
Yes, oh my gosh, I did such a deep dive on this character. Seaweed, we don't know his real name. His name is Seaweed because he dances like seaweed. His middle name is Jive because he's a dancer, which I just love it. But Seaweed J. Stubbs is a young black teenager in Baltimore. He is the son of Motormouth, who is the DJ on Negro Day at this TV company that everybody wants to dance on. And his main thing is he just wants to be able to dance, kind of just like Tracy wants to dance. He just wants to be able to dance with all his people. But it's really hard because they only get one day a month. He also he has a little love interest. I'm not gonna spoil the show because if you haven't seen the show already, what are you doing? But I'm not gonna spoil anything. He has a little love interest. She may or may not be white. And that's an issue. But he has a little love interest, and by the end of the show, like Em said, they get this dream of integration, and they're all happy go lucky, and they get to dance together. But Seaweed to me is he's very special to me. I really love Seaweed. Never in my life did I think I would ever get a chance to play someone like Seaweed. He's just a very cool guy. He knows what he's doing. He loves to dance. He's the dancer of the show, which love. But he's just so cool, and he knows what's right, at least for his people. He knows what's right, and he wants to do what's right, and he wants everybody to know what's right and to spread the word. Like, hey, we're fine, guys. We're not going to hurt you just because our skin is darker than yours. We're not going to hurt you. But he's just a great guy. Like he has a good message that he wants to get across. And he makes all these friends, and they get that message across. I feel like I'm just like blabbering about this guy, but like I just love him so much. He's a great guy, and I'm so honored that I get to play him and portray him in this show.
One of the things I love about Seaweed the most, and this is a movie that I watch, I've seen it live a few times, but this is a movie that I watch at least 2 or 3 times a year, is that even though the story's kind of told through Tracy's eyes, I feel like Seaweed's always the catalyst for the change, because this is who she befriends, and this is kind of her entry into the fact that there's a larger discrimination problem going on.
Mhm.
And so to me, this story would not happen, Hairspray would not happen without Seaweed, as he's kind of the piece there.
I like that. I like that you said that because it wouldn't come off like, like I'm bragging. But, yeah, I fully agree. I fully agree.
Brag.
So how do you prepare for a role such as Seaweed? Obviously, you said there's a lot of dancing. So
Yes.
but like, what is your process for bringing Seaweed to life?
Personally, I'm a singer first. So the dancing part is what I really personally had to work on. Run and Tell That is a very fast-paced song. There's a lot of singing on top of dancing, no matter what production you're in or what you see, no matter what you're going to do, it's a lot of work. So personally, I've started singing Run and Tell That at full volume on the treadmill at my dorm. And it's helped. It's helped with the stamina. I swear it has. But that's one thing I do to prepare. I work on my dances more than I work on my singing because as a singer first, that just comes to me naturally. So the dancing is what I have to look at. Also with acting, he's just like I said, he's just a very cool guy. And I'm very awkward, and it's hard to just like be laid back. So I have to just like imagine I am him, and I'm like, okay, let me pretend that I like don't care about the world. Let me just like lay my shoulders back, and I gotta be cool. And like I just have to get into a different mindset. Like I'm not me, I am Seaweed, but who is Seaweed? And then it delves deeper and all these crazy things. But yes, dancing and acting are what I focus on more when it comes to seaweed specifically.
I have to say too, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I've watched all your videos, I've been keeping up to date on this, but like dancing was one of the first things that you really tackled because it is such a dance heavy show, correct?
Yes.
Very correct.
Yes.
Very
So
I was
correct.
I was gonna say, as soon as you guys started rehearsal, I feel like you were posting videos of you learning the dances, and I feel like that was also with the Adams family. So is that kind of where you start as a director of like dancing is one of the most important pieces here to really learn and nail down?
This time, yes. And I'll be really, really candid, and I've spoken with my castmates about this. It's been kind of disappointing because I'm an actor first. I wanted to do so much more. Even, I mean, my principals are pros, so I'm not super worried about any character aspects with them. But it's just I wanted to be able to give them so much more discussion about character and relationship and details. But I mean, this dancing is crazy, and that's
Sure.
that's ultimately what's going to be seen first. Like I know that the acting will come, the character will come. I know that. The dancing, you can't really fake it. It's extremely intricate, a lot of it. So yeah, we started immediately, and there are still certain things from like day one that we're still clarifying because it's a lot.
I mean, it's always struck me as how much like not only are you singing and have to be talented, but you have to be able to dance your butt off, for 2.5 hours. The show is incredible with that. So I can only imagine what kind of challenges that poses.
Mm-hmm.
So Ian, again, we mentioned before you're playing Edna, but like who is Edna in this story and like what is her narrative?
Edna is a dreamer, and you find that throughout the show you find that out about her throughout the show. And so, I mean, when Edna's first introduced, she's just a mom. She's folding laundry. She's getting on her kid about getting detention again. She's making critiques about her style choices because, I mean, she's a mom. You do find throughout the show, she had this dream to like start her own business, and her dream just went kaput. And so that's where I think her reclusiveness comes from, because she also hasn't left the house. I don't believe it's specified other than since Mamie Eisenhower rolled her hose and bobbed her bangs. So quite some time, even being in 1962. So she's got a lot of insecurities, and I knew deep down, being able to portray that, it'd be fun. Hold on,
Sure.
not fun. It wouldn't be fun, but like it'd be, I guess, easy, in terms of like relating to the character and stuff. But then almost halfway through the show, Edna, she gets dragged out of the house, and she's still a little scared, but she's starting to see the beauty of what is leaving the house, but also the horrors of what is leaving the house, because she sits and watches everything on TV. She's a pop culture icon as well, I should say. She is a whiz at trivia. If you took Edna Turnblad to trivia, you'd win. But she she gets brought to Motormouth Maybell's record shop, and that is where the protest kind of starts from and moves to the TV station. And Edna is being brought into it, and she's like, it's kind of like I just left the house for the first time. What are you talking about? And so she's scared a lot because she's been put in these situations that she's not comfortable with and has never been in before. And then she prevails through love. Her love for her husband Wilbur, her love for Tracy, and I think also somewhere in there a love for people in general. Because I think she just wants everybody to be happy, but more important, like not more importantly, but she wants herself to be happy too. So there's a conflict with that. Edna is more intricate than just folding clothing, I have figured out.